Super Rugby is back for 2019. It's still summer here in New Zealand, but that's not going to stop the rugby season from starting. Two games this Friday. It's Chiefs hosting the Highlanders, and then the Brumbies hosting the Rebels. So no South African teams in action just yet, but we will get there. Interesting first round matchups, I suppose. They are derby games, so it's going to be pretty hectic stuff and important games to start the season well. For this first one, the Chiefs hosting the Highlanders. The Chiefs had a pretty good record over the Highlanders last season. They did the double. They beat them at home, 27 points to 22. And then in their away game, it was actually played in Fiji. So it wasn't really an away game in the sense that they had to go down to Forsyth Bar and get a win, but it was in Fiji, so it was more like a neutral venue. That seemed to help the Chiefs. They had a really blistering first half, ended up running away with that game, 45 points to 22. So they had the Highlanders number last season, but it's a new season. It's a clean slate for these teams. Highlanders traditionally not the best travellers, but very strong at home. So they'll be looking to change that this season. And a win against the Chiefs to start would be very important for them. In terms of lineups, there's no Damian McKenzie, so Auburn Ledger is at 10. A lot of pressure on him. Veteran Stephen Donald is on the bench, so we may see him come on, play 10, 20 minutes. Obviously, Tian Falcon is out for the season, so in terms of coverage for 10, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I guess we'll see how Ledger goes. Brad Weber's inside him, so experienced pair of hands. A guy who was very unlucky not to get an All Black call-up last year. Tahuri Rangi is on the bench, even though he did kind of get the All Blacks favour. It doesn't work here at Super Rugby level. He is still behind Weber. The backs, Stevenson, Tamua Manu, Anton Leonard-Brown, Nanai Saturo's there. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. Bailey Sullivan is there as well. The four-pack looks pretty good when you got Retallick there in the second row. The front row is Ta'avao, Harris, and Moley. Hopefully the props for the Chiefs can stay fit this season, because if you've got the likes of Moley there, Takiaho, Nalala, man, they could put in some pain on some other four-packs, but they really do need to remain fit. So fingers crossed there. Tyler Ardron is at 8 for this one, which is an interesting shift for him. The guy seems to be able to play anywhere from 4 through to 8, so we'll see how he goes. For the Highlanders, it's another bit of a switch. I mean, they've got no Sopoaga this year, so Josh Ioane gets the call at 10. He's looked pretty sharp from what we've seen of him at Super Rugby and at Mitre 10 Cup level, so we'll see if he's able to kind of boss the game a bit better than Ledger, or if Ledger gets on top at home. It's going to be an interesting battle. Ben Smith's there at fullback, Faddis is on the wing. Umanga Jensen and Thompson are the midfield combo for them, so Tay Walden isn't there. Forward pack still. I mean, you got Coltman, you got Tyrell Lomax. He was another All Blacks bolter, so there's still plenty of talent in this Highlander squad as well. Himopo's there, Lenchis is there, Luke Whitelock's at number 8. It looks to be a cracking game, man. Aaron Smith starts on the bench, which is an interesting one. Hamilton starts. Bryn Gatland is not able to beat out Josh Ioane to that 10 jersey, despite having probably a touch more Super Rugby experience at 10. But hey, it looks to be a real tight one. The bookies, interestingly, have got the Highlanders by 1 point. Perhaps the lack of DMAC is influencing the punters in their picks, but they're picking it to be a really close one. Chiefs are no easy beats at home, though, so should be a very good game. And it's a good way to kick off the Super Rugby season. Following that, we move over to Australia, and it is the Brumbies hosting the Rebels. Again, it's one where one team had the other team's number last season. That was the Rebels over the Brumbies last season. They went 2 from 2. The Rebels beat them 33-10 in Melbourne, and then on the return leg, it was 27-24 in Canberra, so a wee bit closer, but the Rebels still had their number. But the Brumbies did get good towards the end of last season, so if they can continue on that run that they had, we may expect kind of better things from them this year. They've certainly got a good looking lineup. I mean, David Pocock's there, you man, at number 7. Lockie McCaffrey, who I really rated last year, is at 8. The guy with no hair, for want of a better phrase. And Rob Valtini, who's supposed to be this young up-and-coming player who just can't avoid injuries. He's in at 6, so fingers crossed we see an 80-minute performance out of him, or at least 60 and subbed for just fitness, or being subbed rather than like being injured. Fingers crossed for him that he gets his career off the ground at this level. Sam Carter and Rory Arnold, very capable second row. Ala Alatoa, Falau Fainga and James Slipper. That's an all-Wallaby front row. It's going to be interesting to see Slipper putting on the Brumbies jersey. See how he goes. Definitely rate him. Hopefully he keeps his head in the game this year, and all those personal issues. Hopefully change of scenery works well, and that we see a bit of a good shift from him. The backs, Joe Powell and Liliafano make up 9-10. Tony Pulu gets his debut, former Chiefs man. See how he goes over in Australia. Simone and Kurandrani in the midfield. Spate after his stint over at Ulster. Doesn't take much of a break. He's on the right wing, and then Tom Banks, who was just electric, is at fullback. So that is a pretty nice looking Brumbies team. Josh Man Ray, good to see him back from injury on the bench as well. Yeah, Hawera is still behind Liliafano in terms of that number 10 jersey. And Pete Samu, interestingly, is not able to get a start. But I guess we'll see how things go with the Wallabies players this year. The Rebels, who've added a few new names to their squad. Quade Cooper's your obvious one. He starts at 10, so he reunites with Will Guinea. That 19 combo could be important. Korobidi and Maddox on the wings, very capable. Haylett Petty captains from 15. He's one of the more consistent Wallabies and Australian players last year. Meeks and English are in the midfield. Izzy Nasarani, former Brumby, he's going to play his old team in his first game back. He's got some pretty big shoes to fill from Murphy, but he's still an exciting player. Hardwick and Cottrell are in that 6 and 7 jerseys. Perhaps you'd give it to the Brumbies in terms of that back row, but their back row is very good. Phillip and Jones in the second row. Ainsley, Rangi and Faulkner in the front row. So how the scrums go is going to be an interesting one, because the Rebels one did get bossed around a wee bit last season despite all their improvements. So hopefully against that all-Wallaby front row of the Brumbies, they can, I guess, step things up a notch. Ruru is on the bench at cover for Guinea, so he had a good year last year. I'm sure if Guinea needs to come off, then they're not going to be missing too much there, because he really did do well in Guinea's absence. Robbie Abel, who was impressive for the Auckland in the Mitre 10 Cup, another former Brumby. He's back facing his former team. So, yeah, man, the Brumbies are actually favoured by 4 points for this one, so it's kind of hard at the start of the season to know where the teams are at. So a lot of the margins are pretty tight, usually favouring the home teams, but not in that first one. But again, it's pretty much at even. So, yeah, Super Rugby is back. If you guys haven't made your Super Rugby picks, go and do that. Look for my Super Rugby pool if you want to join in there. And, yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on these games, who you're excited to see, how you think these results are going to go. And, yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.